Hello everyone, and this is my review for TNA Impact Wrestling on May 9th, 2013. And just to go off and say right off the get-go here, I felt this week's Impact was actually a very good show. Of course, all matches in tow, with the exception of the ending towards the number one contendership match with the for the tag titles with Bobby Roode, Austin Aries, and Kazarian and Daniels, with James Storm as a special guest referee. I felt all of them were well placed, well paced, well done, good timing on all spots. The only thing I didn't like about that particular match was just the way they ended the match in general. You figured they would have actually done something where one team actually gets the victory instead of James Storm just kind of knocking out one member of each team and then just calling in a match. Now, granted, I like the setup going into the match with both of them trying to win over James Storm's favor and everything in that aspect, but just the ending to the match in general, it left a little bit of a bad taste in my mouth in general. I never really liked those finishes where having the guest referee just making sure they're knocked out and then just leave the match. I've never really liked those types of finishes to begin with, so that's just my own personal opinion on how that match went. Other than that, I mean, that particular match in general leading up to the finish was actually very well done. Very enjoyable, very entertaining. Just wish they could have come up with a better finish. So overall, throughout the entire show, there weren't too many matches. You had the Knockouts tag team match, Mickie James and Velvet Sky versus Tara and Gail Kim. I like that they're still playing up the injury, the knee injury angle for Velvet Sky, if it is an angle at all. But it's nice that they're still playing that up a little bit and seeing how long that will actually go for. I like the end. I actually liked the end after the heels loss with Gail Kim attacking Tara and then putting the figure four on the ring post. That was a really nice little touch to that as well. Let's see here. Magnus versus Doc. Yes, the Magnus versus Doc thing. First of all, the setup to that, setup for that match was actually really nice. I liked where they went with the whole aspect from the week before where D'Lo Brown said "I quit" during the "I quit" match. The promo with Aces and Eights out there, telling that he's basically he's been lowered in his position in the Aces and Eights. Kind of not the he's not one of those head honchos, the VP like he once was. He's now more like a prospect type player in the Aces and Eights. I actually liked where they went with that, just on the aspect that Bully Ray was going off. The week before he pledged his colors that he would beat Kurt Angle, and then he says "I quit." I liked where they actually went, where Bully Ray demoted him. He's not fully out, but he's trying to earn his way back up. And then of course he is out there with Doc trying to help him in his match with Magnus, and eventually cost Doc the match. So it just put him in even worse standing than Aces and Eights. I definitely liked where they went with that aspect of it, and it's a nice little touch of seeing some kind of chink in the armor in Aces and Eights in some way, shape, or form. So all in all, that was a nice little area. A very good promo before the match. A very good match after that with Doc and Magnus. And this kind of leads into where I was going next, which is pretty much the final portion of the show. The aspect of the six-man tag with Sting, Kurt Angle, Mystery Partner versus Aces and Eights, which is basically Bully Ray, Devon, and Mr. Anderson. Good promo to start out the show. I liked how they called out AJ Styles and trying to get an answer for him, and basically the answer, without really saying any words, was no, from AJ causing Kurt Angle and AJ to have some tension and fight, which made it seem like all the tension was going to be on the TNA guys versus the Aces and Eights guys, which eventually switched towards the end of the show. I liked it. I also liked the aspect that you had Aces and Eights go after their next choice, which was Magnus, because you had the backstage segment with Hogan, Sting, and Angle, and they're saying, hey, Magnus needs to be our guy, while Hogan's trying to call in a wild card type guy. So it looked like it was going to be Magnus, then he got taken out. Definitely another nice little touch, a nice little segment in general. Again, which led into the actual six-man match, which eventually was just, initially just a 3-on-2 handicap match. And all in all, the match itself was well paced. It was just well done with the spots between all the competitors in the ring. I felt like they did a really good job with that, which led into the eventual ending of the match. You had Angle and Sting down, and you had pretty much, it looked like Aces and Eights was going to go over on top, and then Abyss's music actually hits, and you get the return of Abyss, which if you've watched any of my reviews in the past, I've been a little bit down on the Joseph Park angle, mainly just because it had kind of gotten a little bit stale, a little bit boring, at least in my own personal opinion. I like the aspect that they're bringing Abyss back in here, because I felt the Joseph Park character had run its course. It didn't really serve any more purpose, so bringing back in Abyss was a good idea in my mind. And of course it just made, again, added a little bit of a chink to the armor towards the Aces and Eights at this point, and it just came across very well in my mind. You know, the entire night was, you know, they didn't have too many matches. In general, you had the 4 matches that I kind of went through. You also had a lot of promo time in there with Aces and Eights, with Kurt Angle, Sting, Hulk Hogan, of course the James Storm, and get the 2 tag teams trying to coax them to be on their side for the actual #1 contendership tag match. All this stuff was actually really well done, and the promo with Chris Sabin and Kenny King was also a great promo between the two of them. The only problem that I had is that, you know, they have the aspect of the triple threat between the X Division wrestlers with for the X Division title, or trying to earn your way into the X Division title match. It was kind of bad that they didn't try to interject Petey Williams in there in some way, because that was the advertised match with Petey Williams, Chris Sabin, and Kenny King, and they basically just left the focus around Chris Sabin and Kenny King, kind of like Petey Williams as an afterthought. So you figure that he's going to be the guy who gets pinned next week or something in that aspect, but we'll see where they actually go with that. All in all, I felt this week's Impact Wrestling was a very good show. Great promo time in there. Matches were, again, I felt were well paced, well timed out, and just very entertaining to watch, as typical for TNA Impact Wrestling. And yep, that's my review this week for TNA Impact. I thank you guys for watching, and I hope you enjoyed.